Hello and welcome to Brawl News. Today's first story is a story on the first ever Brawl Stars Olympics, more commonly known as... Really? Really, Jerry? You want me to say that? More commonly known as the Brawl Olympics. Covering the story, we have our chief brawl analyst, or brawlnalist. Jerry, seriously, what is up with you? Covering the story, we have our chief analyst, KairosTime. On to you, Kairos. Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime and it is time to brawl. Welcome to the first ever Brawl Olympics! For today's event, guys, we're going to be taking all of the brawlers. We are going to comparing all of their regular attack ranges to see who has the longest range by using only their regular attack. Now make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell for future events in the Brawl Olympics. In addition, I also have several other events lined up for the future. Now before we start, let's go ahead and review how this was all made. Now the most important thing is that I got every brawler except for Frank. We'll get back to Frank. Every brawler in the perfect position, up very close up to the wall and up next to that box, so that each measurement is absolutely perfect. Now the ranges will actually be compared using this perfectly scaled ruler that counts for literally every single pixel. It took me like 2 hours to make, guys. It was way too long. But it is accurate, and additionally, guys, because the brawlers are directly next to the wall over onto the left side of things, I actually had to make an adjustment for the ruler to be positioned slightly over to the left as well, so that every pixel is accounted for. Without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the first set of brawlers, the melee brawlers, Mortis and El Primo. In the very last place, 15th, El Primo, you can see, has the shortest range in the game with a range of 3 tiles. Mortis is not far behind in 14th place with 3 1/3 tiles. Up next, we have the close range of brawlers, and that is in 13th place. We have Bull with a range of 5 tiles, and Daryl and Frank actually tie for 12th place at 5 2/3 tiles. You may notice, like I said, that Frank was 1/3 tile shifted away from the wall. The guy was trying to cheat, trying to spoof his ranges. I wouldn't let him. I actually adjusted the image to make sure that it did fit perfectly so that you guys can compare that and see that. Next, we have the medium range brawlers. Taking 11th place, we have Nita with a range of 6 1/3 tiles, and 10th place is actually a tie between Shelly and Poco with a range of 7 tiles. And then of course, guys, Tara has slightly longer range than both of them with a range of 8 tiles, which places her in 9th. Up next, we have the medium to long range brawlers, and that is going to start off with Crow with a range of 8 1/3 tiles. Following behind him is a tie for 7th place between Colt and Pam. They're only 1/3 of a tile longer than Crow, which brings them to a total of 8 2/3 of a tile. Finally, we have the long range brawlers, okay? Tying for 6th place, we have a 4-way tie, guys, which is absolutely insane, with 9 tiles, including Dynamite and Barley, and then also Penny and Jessie. One thing to note about the throwers is that they actually have an attack range of about 7 tiles. I know it looks like it's a little bit less than that, but you just base it off of the center of the circle and then double check the radius, and that gives you the exact center of that. For them, you can see that 7 tiles plus a 2-tile radius, which does bring them up to that 9-tile range. Now, one thing that is important to notice about these two is the fact that it seems like Dynamite actually has a longer range than Barley does. Why is that? It actually is just because Dynamite's projectiles are thrown faster than Barley's are. That being said, they actually have the exact same range. Penny and Jessie are also at that 9-tile radius, tying them with the throwers at 6th place. But once again, it kind of actually feels like Penny has the longer range, simply because her projectile actually shoots faster than Jessie's. Up next, we have Bo coming in 5th place. Bo's range actually measures out to be about 8 1/3 tiles, but once it does hit that range, that is the center of the explosion, and the explosion has a radius of 1, which means that Bo actually has an effective range of 9 1/3 tiles. It is getting close here, guys. We are down to the final 4, and in that 4th position is Ricochet with his regular attack range of 9 2/3 tiles. This does place him in 4th place. However, if Ricochet actually stands right next to a wall and shoots directly at it, it will bounce off of that wall, gain a distance boost, and bounce in the opposite direction, increasing his range by 1/3 tile, which brings him actually up to 10 tiles. Now, although this is very situational and does require a ton of skill to pull off consistently in the heat of battle, it does actually technically tie him in 3rd place with Piper. Piper, straightforward, has one of the longest ranges in the game with a range of 10 tiles, but she is not number 1, she's not even 2, she is number 3. Coming down into the 2nd place, the man with the glasses, Brock. When placed against the ruler, Brock's range appears to actually just be 10 tiles, okay? But when that rocket explodes, it actually has a tile radius of 1 from where it exploded. Now, interestingly enough, his rocket actually does not explode at that 10 tile mark. It actually explodes at 9 2/3 tiles, which places his effective range at 10 2/3 tiles. That's right, just a little bit further out than Piper. Finally, guys, we have the number 1 ranged brawler. He is always looking for a cuddle, but he'll probably never find one. You may have guessed it, it's Spike. Spike's regular attack actually only reaches 7 2/3 tiles long, but once it does reach that max range, the ball will explode and 6 spikes will go off in different directions, and those each travel a total distance of 5 additional tiles. This puts Spike's effective range at a whopping 12 2/3 tiles, which is just insane. Now, due to the randomness of the directions of those spikes, you can't always count on every single attack reaching that distance, but it does still make Spike's attack the number 1 range attack in Brawl Stars. But wait, guys, we do still have 2 honorable mentions that I really wanted to, well, honorably mention, because when their shots hit an enemy brawler, they actually extend further. That is right, we are talking about both Penny and Jessie. When Penny's attack hits an enemy brawler at max range, the coin pack explodes, sending out 3 coins to further extend Penny's range. Each one of them actually travels an additional 4 2/3 tiles, which makes it possible for Penny's regular attack to reach a range of 13 2/3 tiles, guys. So technically, that's even further than Spike. And even more than that, we have Jessie. If Jessie's attack hits an enemy brawler at max range, the zap will travel toward the next closest brawler. Now, this was a little tricky to measure, guys, but by using the power of math and my good friend Pythagoras, I was able to calculate this additional range to be an additional 6 1/3 tile per bounce. That means that after it bounces once, and if it happens to bounce another time, it will actually travel an additional 12 2/3 tiles, guys, which is absolutely insane. That brings Jessie's max total range to a whopping 21 2/3 tiles. Now, guys, just to put that into a little bit of perspective, that is actually less than 1 tile short of Daryl's super range. Just insane. I wanted to give a huge shout out to everyone that helped me with the making of this video. They saved me a ton of frustration trying to figure all this out with bots, and that includes Shadow Jutsu, Portal, Cradu, Christina, and Illustria. Now, guys, as a special treat for making it clear to the end of this video, I've made a really cool graphic that you can actually download. There's a link in the description below, and that graphic actually compares all of the brawlers' ranges just right there as a quick reference for you for future matches. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. For now, this is KairosTime tick. Wait, what the heck? Hello? Yeah? Yeah? I think I could do that. Anyways, back to you, news guy. Thank you, KairosTime. I don't know about you, but I'm definitely going to be subscribing and hitting the notification bell so I do not miss any more of Brawl Stars Olympics. Up next, we're going to turn the time to Carol for a chilling story as to why you should always be careful when there's a Shelly in the bush. Hello and welcome to Brawl News. More commonly known as the Brawl Olympics. Covering the story, we have our chief analyst, KairosTime. On to you, Kairos.
Are we rolling? Okay, hello, my name is Stewie McBeaker, and I'm from Brawl News, and today it's time for the Brawl Olympics. How was that, Jerry? Do I get the job?
What? Jerry replaced me with Stewie? No! Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime and it is time for another Brawl Olympics! That's right guys, today we're going to be comparing the racing speeds for all of the brawlers in the game. Now I did a very similar video to this in the past, but that was mostly just kind of like me messing around. Today I'm going to be a lot more exact with ranking every single brawler. Additionally, since my last racing video, the base speeds of all of the brawlers have been changed and some of the balance changes have actually influenced some of the rankings. Now before we jump into this guys, make sure you go ahead and subscribe for future amazing Brawl Stars videos. Okay guys, let's go ahead and go over the rules for today's video. Now, first of all, what we're going to be doing is we're going to go ahead and line up each of the brawlers against the back wall to the lower right hand side of the arena, and then they're going to go ahead and race to the opposite side of the map to see who is fastest. Now, I made sure that every brawler starts at the exact same moment that their character starts moving to make sure that it is accurate. Now, the exact frame where the white line disappears from view is going to be considered the finish line. Now, this gives the camera in the game some time to adjust, as well as makes sure that this is as accurate as possible. Now on top of that, each brawler is allowed one super to give themselves a racing advantage if it will help them. They may also use their regular attack or star power if that helps as well. As a side note, minion speeds like Nita's Bear and Tara's Shadow will also be measured, but they will not be considered for rankings today. Now before we get started with the rankings, I wanted to quickly cover the base movement speeds for all of the brawlers. That's right guys, not all the brawlers walk at the same speed. There are 3 walk speeds that all brawlers fall into, excluding attacks, supers, or star powers. 720, which is a slow walk speed, 770, which is a medium walk speed, and 820, which is a fast walk speed. Now when I mention these speeds, I don't actually have a specific conversion rate or anything like that. These are just the raw numbers pulled from the actual game files. Most brawlers have a walking speed of 720, but there are a few brawlers that have a base walking speed of 770, which is 7% faster than most brawlers. This includes Bull, Daryl, El Primo, and Frank. Lastly, there are a couple of brawlers with a base walk speed of 820 or 14% faster than most brawlers in the game. And that includes Crow and Mortis. Now that you know the base walk speeds for all of the brawlers and I've explained the rules, go ahead and put in the comment section below who you think the 3 top brawlers are going to be for racing speeds in this video. And make sure you put them in order or it doesn't count. Now let's go ahead and start off with dead last. For a very special spot, we have Tara's Shadow. Okay, I'm just kidding, but did you actually know that if you aim Tara's super directly into the corner as far as you can, it will actually get stuck? Now that's what I call dead last. Okay, for real though, we actually have in this last place, even though it's not ranked, Nita's Bear. Now Nita's Bear is the slowest moving character in the game with a movement speed of 620. That is 15% slower than the slowest brawler in the game. Now, as a reminder, we are not counting Nita's Bear for rankings, so technically Nita's Bear is unranked instead of last. Okay, seriously though guys, 100% in dead last, no tricks or anything like that. We have a massive tie for 10th place, including 12 brawlers. We've got Barley, Bo, Brock, Jesse, Nita, Pam, Penny, Poco, Ricochet, Shelly, Spike, and Tara. That's right guys, each of these brawlers have a slow walking speed and do not have any attacks, supers, or star powers that will give any speed advantage at all. Up next, we have coming in 9th place, Frank. Frank has a medium walking speed but does not gain any advantage from his attack, super, or star power in any way. In fact, if he uses his star power or super, he'd actually be last because it slows him down. Dynamite is next, coming in 8th place. Now Dynamite barely beats Frank when using his super to bounce forward. Now where this is kind of like a sprint, Dynamite actually beats Frank, but Frank absolutely would win in a longer distance run. Now one thing I really wanted to test extensively was whether or not Dynamite's star power actually gave him a speed boost when he was jumping with it. I brought Lukey Bear, who is a Dynamite master jumper, on to test things with me, and even with perfect Dynamite sticks, Mike takes a second to regain composure after he lands, which does slow him down. We tested this extensively to make sure that Dynamite's regular attack does not actually increase his speed. Now, if it is possible to get a faster speed by consistently double jumping, that is not something we were actually even able to successfully pull off. If it is possible, it is incredibly difficult to do and essentially impossible. So we're gonna go ahead and keep Dynamite in 8th place, using his super once. Next, guys, we have 7th place, which is Colt. Now, when Colt is not maxed, he ties with all the last place brawlers with a slow walking speed. Now, his star power used to make him walk as fast as Crow, but when Brawl Stars went from portrait mode to landscape, everybody's base speed got a buff, but Colt's star power did not. This actually means that Colt is slightly between medium walkers and fast walkers. Here you can actually see that Colt is clearly faster than El Primo, who is a medium walking brawler. If you pay really close attention to the red circle and blue circle here, you can see that Crow is slightly faster than Colt. That's right, guys. Colt is kind of a very unique brawler with his own special walking speed. And I searched through the game files. I couldn't find out what the number was, so I'm sorry, guys. Now, as a quick side note, if we are just looking at straight up walking speeds, Terra's star power Shadow would actually come in first, since it even has a faster walking speed than Crow. Up next, guys, we have 6th place, which is gonna be Piper. Now, despite Piper having a slow walk speed, her super jump gives her an extra competitive edge, which does actually help her pass even Colt. Just like with Dynamite, she wins at a sprint, but Colt would actually win at a long range distance. Next, we have El Primo taking 5th place with a huge leap over Piper. Now, not only does El Primo have a walking speed advantage over Piper, but he also lands before Piper despite jumping later over on that gameplay over to the left. Now, on top of that, he actually jumps 1/3 tile further than Piper does with his super. Next, guys, we've got number 4, and that is going to Bull. Now, Bull actually has the same walking speed as El Primo, but although his charge is slower than El Primo's jump, Bull's 3 tile lead actually does give him a slight advantage over El Primo, which helps him slightly win that 4th place for today's video. Okay, guys, we are finally down to the top 3, which means that it is time for you to see if you got the top 3 right. And remember, guys, it only counts if you guess them in the correct order. Now, make sure you go ahead and edit your comment and let me know if you did actually get it correct with your first guess. Are you ready? In 3rd place, guys, we have none other than Crow. Now, Crow ties for the fastest walking speed in the game, but when you add his super into the mix, he comes slightly ahead of Bull. By the way, in case you're curious, Crow's super jump range is actually the exact same as Piper's, but Crow lands much sooner, and he has the fastest walking speed in the game, which is a big reason why he has such a fast racing speed. Now, if you're paying close attention, guys, you probably already know number 2, and you probably already know number 1 by this point, but just to prove it, let's go ahead and show him now. Coming in 2nd place, we have none other than the man without the hat, Mortis. Now, Mortis ties with Crow with the fastest walking speed in the game, but he actually takes the lead for racing speed. While his super does nothing to help him with racing, his regular attack does. When you're watching this gameplay, at first it looks like Crow is actually going to beat Mortis, but then at the last second, Mortis reloads an attack and quickly swipes up ahead of Crow, solidifying that number 2 spot. But it's not over, guys. Now we've got the moment you've all been waiting for. If you haven't guessed it already, you're about to find out. The brawler with the fastest racing speed in the game is none other than Daryl. That's right, guys. Daryl rolls really quickly, a distance of 23 2/3 tiles, and there's just no way that any other brawler can come even close. In fact, Daryl reaches the other side of the map before Mortis can even get that white line out of his field of view. Let's go ahead and give it up for Daryl one more time, guys. Wow, guys, this has been an incredibly awesome Brawl Stars series, and I'm glad that you guys have loved it so much. To make sure that you have not missed a single episode, make sure you go ahead and check out the Brawl Olympics playlist for a more in-depth, deep dive into all of the brawler stats in the game. Also, if you have more suggestions for future Brawl Olympics events, feel free to drop it in the comment section below, and I will definitely consider it. I got pretty huge plans for future Brawl Stars content, so make sure you go ahead and subscribe while you're at it, guys. I wanted to give a huge thank you to my YouTube and Patreon sponsors for helping support the channel. Additionally, I wanted to give a shout out to those that helped me with recording the gameplay for today's video, including Enoch, Parzival, Portal, Shadow Jutsu, Lukey Bear, Truly Untrue, Ed TM, CR7, LOL, Tyrant Star, Jack Frost, CY, and Arjun. For now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars. Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime and it is time for Season 3 of the Brawl Stars Olympics. This is the first season that gadgets are actually in the game, which means that things are going to be changing up. For this video, we're going to be putting all of the brawlers in a competition against each other to see which one is the fastest. The rules are simple. The brawlers start at the bottom of the training cave and the finish line is when their character passes behind the last robot at the top of the training cave. Brawlers are allowed to use one pre-charged super. They're allowed to use their gadget as many times as the cooldown will let them, and they can also use star powers or attacks if it will help. To celebrate Season 3 of the Brawl Olympics, we are going to be putting every brawler in a bracket, and your goal is to try and guess which brawlers are going to win each round. I'm going to give you a couple of practice matches to see how this is going to work out in this first round right here. Spike versus Rosa. Since neither Rosa or Spike have a gadget, super, or star power to help them in this race, it comes down to their movement speeds. Rosa's movement speed is faster than normal, which means that she wins the first round. Sandy versus Jean. Just like Spike versus Rosa, this race comes down to movement speeds. Jean has a normal movement speed, but his mystic friend Sandy actually has a fast movement speed. This means that he takes Jean out of the competition. Okay, now that you guys understand how this is going to work out, I want you to try to make your best guess for every single matchup for this video. Only true Brawl Stars masters are going to get every answer correct. Next is round 2, and while most of them are actually pretty easy, I think a couple of them are going to catch you off guard. Rosa versus Jackie. Both Rosa and Jackie have fast movement speeds, but Jackie is able to use her gadget twice before reaching the finish line, while Rosa doesn't have any ability to help her out. This allows Jackie to take her first win. Mr. P versus Shelly. Both Mr. P and Shelly have normal movement speeds, but thanks to her new gadget, Shelly's able to dash twice before crossing the finish line, which allows her to beat Mr. P out of the competition. El Primo versus Pam. This is not much of a competition. Pam is just a regular runner, while El Primo gets help from his Meteor Rush star power and his super and his fast movement speed. BB versus Penny. Similar to Pam, Penny does not do too well either. BB has a fast movement speed and she's able to use her home run star power to run right past Penny. Brock versus Dynamite. Dynamite uses his Dynajump star power with his super to get a head start, while Brock uses his gadget twice to blast himself forward a bit further. It looks like Dynamite is about to win, but Brock is able to use his gadget for a third time, which very slightly helps him pass the finish line first. Poco versus Max. Not only does Max have a very fast movement speed, she uses her gadget, then she uses her super for extra speed, and relentlessly uses her gadget one last time, beating Poco with over 4 seconds to spare. Jessie versus Leon. This should be a pretty easy guess. Not only does Leon have a very fast movement speed, but he also gets help from his Smoke Trail's star power to finish in plenty of time before Jessie. Barley versus Daryl. Barley has a normal movement speed, and Daryl was built to be a little bit faster than the regular bot with a fast movement speed. In addition, he gets to use his super roll, which makes this match a breeze for Daryl. Sandy versus Crow. Sandy does have a fast movement speed going for him, but Crow has a very fast movement speed, plus a super that lets him jump ahead in the race. B versus Tick. Both B and Tick have a normal movement speed, and fortunately for Tick, B cannot slow him down during this competition. With Tick's new gadget, he's able to beat B by 1 second. Bull versus Bo. Bull has a fast movement speed, while Bo has a normal movement speed. On top of that, Bull is also able to charge ahead with his super. This allows Bull to beat Bo by almost 3 entire seconds. 8-Bit versus Nita. 8-Bit has a very slow movement speed, but using a pre-placed turret, he can use his gadget to teleport ahead of Nita as long as he's within 12 tiles of his turret. Believe it or not, 8-Bit is no longer the worst brawler in the race test. Terra versus Rico. Both Terra and Rico have a normal movement speed, but with Rico's Robo Retreat star power, he's able to run away at a very fast pace. This allows Rico to beat Terra by just over 3 seconds. Colt versus Piper. This is a close race. Piper jumps ahead with her super, but Colt uses his Slick Boot star power to increase his movement speed by 10%. In the end, Piper beats Colt by a fraction of a second. Mortis versus Frank. Frank does have faster than normal movement speed going for him, but unfortunately for him, it is not enough. Mortis uses his Coiled Snake star power and 5 attacks plus a very fast movement speed to crush Frank. Carl versus Ems. Both Carl and Ems have a normal movement speed, but when Carl uses his super, he gets an insane speed boost for 3 seconds, which is all that he needs to get a very clear victory over Ems. Now that over half of the brawlers have been knocked out of this competition, this is where things start to get really interesting. Are you going to correctly guess who is going to make it past round 3 and into the quarterfinals? Let's find out. Jackie versus Shelly. Shelly did get a fancy new gadget that boosts her a couple of tiles, but it is nowhere near as useful as Jackie's gadget when it comes to speed. Plus, Jackie has a fast movement speed, which gives her a clear lead. El Primo versus BB. Both brawlers have a fast movement speed, and BB does get a permanent boost from her home run star power, but that is not enough to catch up to El Primo, who gets help from his Meteor Rush star power and his super. Brock versus Max. Brock's new gadget helped him make it past his first match, but when it comes to speed, Max is on a whole new level. Her super, her gadget, and her movement speed make this a very easy win for Max. Leon versus Daryl. Daryl has a fast movement speed plus the use of a super, but Leon has a very fast movement speed and his Smoke Trail star power, which makes him go even faster. Crow versus Tick. Even though Tick does get to use his gadget twice before passing the finish line, it is very clear early on that there's just no way he's going to be able to catch up to Crow, who moves faster and has a super jump. Bull versus 8-Bit. Bull gets a clear lead because 8-Bit is just so slow, and even though he does lose that lead for a second after 8-Bit teleports, he easily retakes it long before 8-Bit passes the finish line. Rico versus Piper. Although Rico is sweet on Piper most of the time, the Brawl Olympics is a serious event and he's not about to give this win to his sweetheart. Rico beats Piper with a 2-second lead. Mortis versus Carl. The fact that Carl's super lasts so long is really great for the race test, but it is very obvious that he's going to need to work on his engine if he wants a shot at winning. Mortis dominates this round and moves on to the next. With round 3 out of the way, we are down to the quarterfinals. Even if you've gotten every guess right so far, the competition is about to get even closer. Let's see which brawlers are able to pass this round and make their way onto the semifinals. Jackie versus El Primo. El Primo jumps ahead and activates his Meteor Rush star power, but Jackie gets to use her gadget to boost her speed twice. In the end, El Primo crosses the finish line less than half a second faster than Jackie does. Max versus Leon. Before gadgets, the race between Max's super and Leon's Smoke Trail star power actually ends in a tie, but now that Max gets a boost from her gadget, she's able to win the race. Crow versus Bull. Both brawlers get to use their super, and as soon as Bull ends his charge from his super, it is clear that Crow is going to take victory in this race. Rico versus Mortis. With his Robo Retreat star power, Rico is very fast, but with every attack, Mortis gets further and further away from Rico, solidifying his victory. With the quarterfinals out of the way, we are down to the final 4 brawlers left in this competition. Only 2 of them will be able to make it to the finals. Let's see who it'll be. El Primo versus Max. El Primo jumps up and activates his Meteor Rush star power, and for a little bit, it looks like he's keeping up with Max, but then his legs get tired and Max boosts ahead, making her way to the finals. Crow versus Mortis. Crow jumps up ahead and holds the lead for less than a second before Mortis dashes ahead, making it impossible for Crow to catch up. Now this is the moment that you have been waiting for. Some of you will remember that Mortis actually took first place in the last Brawl Stars Olympics race test. Since then, Max was released and she was recently given a gadget that helps boost her speed. Let's see if she has what it takes to dethrone the previous champion and take first place as the fastest brawler in Brawl Stars. Mortis versus Max. Mortis's coiled snake star power gives him an early lead, but Max slowly catches up. As he's about to reach the finish line, Max dashes for a second time, but it is not enough, and Mortis wins the Brawl Stars Race Olympics and remains champion. How did you do in this challenge? Let me know which matchups you missed, and if you say that you got them all right, you are either a Brawl Stars master or you're lying. If you guys like this video, you can help support the development of future videos like it by using code Kairos in the shop. That's Kairos. It doesn't cost you guys anything extra, and it really does go a long way in helping support my family so that I can help create the content that you guys love. You can also help by sharing this video with any friends that you think would enjoy it, and also by letting me know which Brawl Olympics test you would like to see for the next video. Congratulations to Mortis. Thank you for watching. For now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.